I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Balara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today's a special one for a couple of reasons. One, this is the 100th episode, which is pretty cool. I didn't really think that was going to be a thing maybe when I started this whole thing. And most importantly, with me today, as you can see, this is not a split screen. We are awkwardly sitting next to each other in our Lark Capital t-shirts, but this is my amazing wife, Kaycee.
Hi.
So for the 50th episode, I did a me episode. And so today, what I want to do is kind of talk to Kaycee about what journey into real estate has been like for her. And another thing I'm going to start on this episode as a new and exciting thing is to say, hey, if you guys like this podcast, please go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, follow, any and all of the above on whatever platforms you listen to. It really helps the reach of the podcast. So if you can do that, leave a review, it would be great. I would really appreciate it. Anyway, moving on. So as I said, this is Kaycee. Why don't we start with, how I started with every other guest. Why don't you go ahead and tell people about your background, maybe the before me.
The pre-you, John.
Yeah, and then we can, kind of, I guess, tell them our story a little bit. But yeah, tell us your background.
Okay. I'm from a small town called Concord, North Carolina, just outside of Charlotte. I grew up there and until basically, went to school, high school, went to college at NC State, go Wolfpack. And then after school, I decided I didn't really know what to do with my bachelor's in animal science degree because I didn't want to go to vet school. So I wasn't really sure what to do at that point. So some people I worked with at the NC State Veterinary Hospital were registered veterinary technicians. So I decided to give that a shot. So I had been in the animal field. It was my first and only job really I've ever had. I started there when I was 15, cleaning kennels, and then kind of worked my way up in the hospitals. And so after college, after my bachelor's, I decided to go to get an associate's degree in animal technology, basically to become a registered veterinary technician, and finished that in 2008 and met this guy. And so I was working at a practice in Charlotte, just out of school. I hadn't been there very long, and he showed up. So we met, but I at that point, before I met him, had basically found the job that I loved. I was a vet tech at a specialty clinic in the surgery department, doing, prepping patients for surgery, running anesthesia, taking x-rays, doing a lot of client communication, a lot of long hours and late nights and on call. But despite that, it was just, I don't know, I loved it. It was something I just couldn't get enough of at the time. And I have since been happy to give up some of those long hours. But so we met in 2008. We were working for the same company, but different offices. And I still remember the day you showed up and you walked in the building.
I had more hair. It was, probably wouldn't have had the same reaction at this point, but yeah, I had more hair then.
You did, and that's okay. We were both a lot younger then, so it's okay. So we met, started dating pretty shortly after that, and we stayed in Charlotte till 2011. Then we moved to Charleston, South Carolina, which is a beautiful place to live. and more probably a beautiful place to visit. I think we figured at the time.
We both, not to interrupt, but
No.
we had bought a house there.
That's true. I forgot that part.
Been going and renovating it on the weekends because we had been visiting Charleston so much, about a 4-hour drive from Charlotte. We had been visiting on the weekends a lot and really loved the city from a tourist standpoint. I think, just beautiful beaches, amazing
Charming
restaurants,
town.
charming town, that sort of thing. And then we moved there, and maybe long story short, discovered that it was a better place to visit than it was necessarily to live, at least for us, and what we wanted out of life,
Out of work life, especially.
yeah, but also met some really, really amazing friends there. So that there's, I think my point is that there's no, I don't regret any of the moves that we've made. So go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Carry on.
Yeah, sorry. Just interject whenever. So we lived there until January of 2013, in which time we moved to Houston, Texas. Another move. I was, having grown up kind of in the South and close to my family and kind of a small town, it was kind of a big scary move for me, but it turned out.
She cried.
I did. I cried kind of a lot in the beginning. But that's okay. I loved Houston in the end, and I still sometimes miss Houston. Just a really nice place to live, lots of things to do. I thought it was much better for us from a work standpoint. We were busy, and it was a more enjoyable work environment. And then someone has always wanted to live on the West Coast in California in sunny weather because he hates the cold. So, his best friend Reed had told him that there was a job opening out here. So we were in Texas for 3 years. And then all the while, I forgot to mention, we're renovating a house.
I was going to get to that part.
Yeah. And so he decided he wanted, we decided we'd make the move to California, to Los Angeles. But we still had a house that was literally in shambles in the midst of a remodel, like a complete remodel. So he moved out here in June. No, I'm sorry. I moved out here in June of 2016. He moved in
December 2015.
Yeah, December of 15. So we had about 6 months that we were living apart. I was staying there to kind of manage the construction while he was here working. He would come back to Houston once a month for a week. It was exhausting because we did nothing but work while he was there. So I had a very love-hate relationship with your visits at that point. I was happy to see you, but exhausted and tired.
Also happy for me to leave by the end of the week.
Yeah. Just a lot of stress and anxiety, but the house turned out beautifully and it was worth it in the end. Then I moved out here in June of 2016. Also not excited about living in Los Angeles. It took me quite a while to kind of warm up to the idea. But now I've come to appreciate it, the wonderful weather. And we've just really had a much different work environment, been able to do the mobile stuff, mobile surgery, which has been really nice to have the control over our own work schedules. But it means he works all the time. So we've kind of had to work with that challenge all again while remodeling another house. And now in the past 3 years, we've had 2 kids. So, and you started the real estate business.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
So it's been, and the pandemic. So that's been fun. To say the last 2 years have been challenging is an understatement, but it's been a ride.
Yep. You say it like it's over.
It's at least calmer. I think at least we're not, we don't have a move on the horizon. We don't have a house that's in shambles or, in remodel mode. We're at least I feel like, yes, there's work chaos, but our house is done. We're settled and it's going well as far as that's concerned. So that's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, Kaycee sort of glossed over some of the since this is a real estate inspired podcast, she glossed over some of the real estate that we were doing prior to getting out here. And it's interesting because, a lot of people ask me, when I talk about real estate now, like, when did you become a real estate investor? And I'm like, 2020. No, been doing it before I even met her, I've been doing this. I bought my first house that I was a live in reno and flip in 2000. So I've been doing this forever because I see the value of taking a house that has been neglected and turning it into something nice to live in and beautiful and all of that. I just never looked at it as real estate investing. There's a lot of talk out in the world about house hacking, which is essentially just having a roommate or having a multifamily, home and letting people live in the other units. I've done all of those things, but I just never thought of it as real estate investing. I thought of it as living, surviving. I didn't have the money to not do those things. So it's kind of like I had that very first house I bought, had roommates. We in the house we live right now had a roommate until we had kids. Now we have two tiny roommates, but it's just been, it's been something that sort of I've always done. And I guess now I've dragged Kaycee into it, but
I love it now too,
it's something that, we look at houses and, we're not trying to move right now, but when we would look at houses, it would be, she would say, look at this is beautiful. And I would say, look at this, it's terrible and half the price, and we can turn it into that and make money on it. So it was kind of always that's been the mentality for me. And we've done it ourselves, right? It's been, we're this room that we're recording in, renovated ourselves, that this is all this stuff, the shiplap and all of it's been hung by us. So always done ourselves. So I guess the really, getting into real estate, what changed in 2020 is turning into a business, yes. Right? And not just doing our own like DIY work and whatever, which I still, when the kids get a little bit older, I still really want them to be involved in. We can go flip houses, and I think it will be, I'm sure that they will have a blast swinging a sledgehammer and smashing down some walls. So definitely on the horizon, but from a maybe fun educational perspective for the kids, not so much because we have to. So yeah, you talked about sort of this I wanted to touch on too. You talked about your first job. You're clearly very passionate about what you do and did in veterinary medicine as a technician. And I just want people to understand that she doesn't make a lot of money.
No.
Nobody does. Like that's not how veterinary medicine works. And that's a big part of why we want this company to be successful, is to help other people in the veterinary community, because it's a passion. It's a career built on passion, because people really want to help animals. They really want to help pets, help people take care of their pets. They really want to advance the science behind it. Like, it's literally zero people are like, I'm going to get rich being a veterinarian. That's never, ever a consideration. Like I'm not sure if I ever talked about this on the podcast before, but my uncle, who was like my idol growing up, and he taught me so much. He taught me my work ethic. Logan's middle name is James because of him. Like, my uncle, before I went to vet school, said, don't go to vet school. I've seen the cars that are parked in that parking lot. There are no nice cars. And I didn't believe him. And I didn't listen to him. I guess I believed there were no nice cars, but I didn't care. But he's 100% right that those vets aren't making a lot of money. So when he said that, he wasn't, trying to squish my dreams. He just being practical. So that is the reality of the veterinary world. And that's not necessarily what we are here to talk about today, but I think it's an important point in that, still to this day, despite being largely removed from working because of now you are raising two humans. It's it's clearly something that people are passionate about. And so that is why there is a high burnout, fatigue, suicide rate in veterinary medicine, because everybody in there is going on passion. Mm-hmm. Certainly not going on the amount of money they're taking home at the end of the day. And, you know, the technician, right. It's not like these other, you know, sort of high income jobs that you hear about with, like, you know, stock traders, things like that, people like that work crazy amount of hours, but also they're making a ton of money. And so they continue that. This is just truly like a passion industry.
For sure.
But anyway, so that could be its own podcast in and of itself, but the
at least I still get to do that with you though.
Right. So yeah. So now we have, you know, we basically, when in 2020, right when the pandemic was starting and we had a just over a year-old son, I thought, what would be a better idea than, hey, let's start a real estate business on top of my job and our mobile surgery service. Right. So, yeah, it makes total sense.
Right. Especially when I had no idea what he was talking about. Zero.
It's still,
I know a lot
still
more
questionable.
Now.
Yeah, still questionable.
Some days I listen more than others.
Yeah.
But
so
I know a lot more now.
So that's, I mean, I guess, like, if you list them on paper, what has happened since 2020? Well, we had a pandemic. We started Lark Capital, the shirt. We started this business. Yeah. As I've said before, this is Logan, Ava, Reed, Kaycee. So all the important people in my life made this. That's why this, I don't have a passion for birds. I have
Thank goodness.
I have a passion for real estate and the people that are important to me. So that is where the name came from. J doesn't fit very nicely into very many words. So we don't want to be Jerk Capital. That wouldn't be great. Yeah, at the time we didn't have an A. That was the A in Jason or Balara, however you want to say it. But then when we had our daughter, we named her Ava because she needed to fit into the vision of Lark.
He pigeonholed me into 4 letters that her name would start with.
Oh, that's a pretty good selection.
Yeah.
But now she's perfect little Ava. But so anyway, since 2020, pandemic, started the real estate business. Ava was born in 2020. Yeah, 2021. A few things happened. Also, what has happened during that time is our mobile surgery business has grown quite a bit. So we work 6 days a week, take Sundays off as a family day. Yeah. Most of the time.
We don't do 6 days on the mobile. You work 6 days a week.
I work 6 days a week, but you've got the kids in all the days.
I work 24/7. It's really what we're talking about.
Being a mom is the hardest job of them all. But
not to toot my own horn or anything.
We have a lot going on. Lots of people have a lot going on. We're not like unique in that. However, what I mainly wanted to talk about in this podcast today is, you know, kind of what that has meant to you. So I've talked a lot about it, I guess, of what it has it meant to me. And so, you know, it's been a busy time. So
yes.
I guess maybe, you know, as you mentioned, when this started, you had no idea what I was talking about.
I didn't know what a syndication was.
Yeah. Truth be told, I didn't really know what I was talking about right at the very beginning either. I did a lot of education and got a mentor to really figure it out. But yes, I think one of the best things about, I think, our relationship is that, and you can tell me if you disagree, I'm the dreamer.
Yep. And I'm the dream squisher.
And
Or dream crusher.
Some would say realist, some would say dream crusher, but but no, she, I think but I say that in jest, because I do think that you have always maybe given me a shocking amount of leeway to figure these things out. So I do appreciate that very much. And I think that it's been important.
That's how we work.
I think when this all started, I think I thought maybe you would be more involved in the real estate stuff, mostly because I was excited about it and thought it would be cool for us to do together. And when we've done the house, the house, our renovations and things like that, you've always been a big part of it. So like, I guess I kind of thought, well, this would be like that, but it's nothing like that. Yeah. Which is fine. It's just a different, and in some ways, maybe it's good because, it can be run more like a business, in that ultimately can work to the space of hiring people and sort of delegating a lot of what I'm doing now. But in the beginning, that's not it. And so maybe talk about, I don't know, talk about what the last 2 years has been like to you.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't understand what he was talking about. I didn't get it, because I understood residential remodels, flipping, and that sort of thing. Like he said, the quote unquote house hacking. I understood that. I had no idea how the commercial space worked. And so when he first started talking about it, I was like, okay, sure, whatever, because I, want to support his dreams. And I didn't get it. And probably more than sometimes, I'm not always the best listener or the most supportive about it, admittedly, because A, I don't understand it, and B, it has just been chaos. When he started, we had just over a 1-year-old, and then we potty trained him, and then I got pregnant, and then I was pregnant and had not a particularly pleasant pregnancy this second time around. So a lot harder. I just felt like, on a selfish level, had a lot on my plate. And so trying to learn about what he was doing and all of these new words that I didn't understand, and lots of math, which, if you know me, that's not my thing. So he's
true story.
Yeah. He's throwing around a lot of numbers, and I'm just like, okay, sure. Smile and nod. So it was hard. And I think, obviously, other than the challenges that come with being new parents, with babies and young kids, and the challenges that presents, like, here he was taking on more work, and time away from us, potentially. I mean, he didn't do a lot of travel that first year because of COVID, but he has been traveling. So, I mean, admittedly, I've had a struggle with it, and I try very hard to put my own feelings aside to be supportive of what he's doing, because I do believe in what he's doing and support what he's doing. It's just sometimes I have to get out of my own way and, like, remember the end game and know that he is working just an exorbitant amount of time right now, knowing that, in, I don't know, 3 to 5 years, this will be a completely different lifestyle change, maybe is the right word, for us, where he'll have more time at home with the kids and me, and we'll have some time to travel and just spend more time together. Like, I think that, we don't get a lot of time, a lot of family time now, as he said, he works 6 days a week, pretty much most weeks. So, and then he's been traveling. So it has been challenging. But I've learned a lot about commercial real estate. I've learned about, working with, listening to him talk to his business partners, and, how to manage these other properties and things like that. So it is a lot of what we did with the houses. I did manage a lot of the construction and the trades and whatnot with our home remodels, but this is on a much
Different
larger
scale.
level. Yeah. So it's been fun. It's been frustrating. It's been challenging. It's been interesting. It's been a learning experience. So I think it was the right choice. I still wonder if the timing was right, but because
Timing's never right.
because of
Timing's
what was,
never right.
COVID and young
Yeah.
kids and whatnot. So, but I get it. And I think that I support him. I believe in him. He asks me things sometimes like, do you think I can do this? Or do you think I should do this? I'm like, carry on. I trust you.
Yeah.
You can make these decisions, and I'll support you. And he's never steers us wrong. So,
I guess maybe I get some leeway for having a little bit of a track record on that.
You know what you're doing.
But yeah, it's
I will say, when you take on something, he goes all in. There's no halfway. There's no like half-ass, excuse me. He just really head first, all in, does something. And so that's why I knew that he would figure it out and he would do it and he would be successful, because that's what he does. He doesn't like to be bad at things. So he learns how to be good at things, whatever it is he does, except plumbing.
except plumbing.
That's the thing.
That's why they have plumbers, because that was one I could never figure out.
Yeah. But anyway.
Yeah, I think that a lot of that is, there's a lot of, you hear a lot of people like on other podcasts out, like there are different dynamics between couples and then there are some that their husband or wife is like their business partner. And then there are others that are like Kaycee and just really super supportive, but maybe not so involved in the business on the day-to-day anyway. But I would say probably the third option, being not being supportive, is not really an option, in the sense that I think that those couples just wouldn't make it through this.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Like there isn't, and I mean, like we have, we talked about like when we did the house in Houston and I was living here, and I mean we've done some challenging times. And I think this one, certainly the last 2 years, has been the most challenging.
Right.
And in a lot of reasons, with the pandemic being, maybe central to that, in the sense that, but we couldn't travel, but you need to travel. Like it's just kind of like, and I didn't ever want to put the family safety, that could never be, that always had to be top priority. And so I didn't travel until I was vaccinated, and like after, like it just wasn't an option. And which, and I think you, and I understand this, you're like, there's a lot of travel and, you're working a lot, you're not doing, and it's like, and then the flip side to that is, and I'm not saying this to complain, I'm saying like, I assume other people are going through these same things, but there's a lot of things that I don't do that would potentially like help with, networking, relationships, that sort of thing. Like that would potentially really help the business. But at some point, my goal in all this has always been to create more time to be able to spend with family, knowing that that's not going to happen immediately. Yeah. But ultimately I didn't want these next 3 to 5 years to end up being like, I don't see you guys for 3 years, with the hope that I'm like, maybe that means our business grows slower, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. So I do, I try to be, around as much as possible, and I may not always take it well, but I appreciate when you tell me that I'm not being present, because I don't want to be that way. So I think that I think we've learned a lot,
for sure,
in how to how to manage life. Like being a parent is hard anyway, but like,
Right.
you said the timing wasn't right. Like, I truly believe the timing's never right. Like the timing, we could argue that the timing wasn't right to have
a second kid,
or even the first kid, or what, like, you just like, it wasn't the right time to move to California, but in the long run, it has actually worked out really well for us. Like, it's just like, I don't know. And that's, to me, the reason I'm harping on this is mainly because it's a good metaphor for a lot of people are waiting for the right time to get started in real estate. They're waiting for, and I mean, right now is a perfect example. Like because of the talk of interest rates rising, not the talk of it, it's actually happening. Interest rates are rising. People are maybe in a little bit of panic mode. And I think that is actually going to create opportunity for those of us that don't panic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I don't think I'm good at a lot of things necessarily, but I'm pretty darn good at not panicking.
It's true.
That is maybe oddly calm sometimes. So it's a
frustratingly so sometimes.
Yeah. So I think that comes from being a surgeon. That I'm not panicking. Panic in the OR doesn't serve anyone.
Not a bit.
And so I firmly believe, like, you hold yourself together until everything is back on track, and then maybe you panic afterward. Have a little bit of go have a meltdown later. But during the time, you do what you need to do to stay calm and get the job done. So anyway, I think that, maybe a little off track, but I think the point being is that this,
don't wait to do things.
Yeah. Don't wait for the time to be right. Like, another like relevant example to us, like, we had Logan when I'm 44 because probably in large part because I was reluctant, waiting for the right time, whether that was for us to get married or that was for us to have a kid. Like, but I couldn't love them more.
Oh, for sure.
Like, I couldn't be happier that we have our kids, and
glossed over the fact that we were together for 9 years before we got married. For anybody.
Yeah. There was we've been together. Well, you mentioned since 2008, basically, but we've only been married since 2017. Yes.
Ooh, I had to think about that.
2017 question mark. So yeah, it was a long time, and that was we don't need to necessarily get into all the ways that I was broken before meeting Kaycee, but needless to say, she has saved me in many ways. But the point is waiting for the perfect time. The perfect time doesn't exist. So what's better is to figure out, okay, what's important? What do you believe in? And then just get in.
Make it work.
Yeah. And she's right. Like, I'm not going to do anything poorly. I just won't do it. And so I'm not going to do anything halfway. I'm not going to do, which includes the real estate. And I mean, it includes being a father. It includes, I'm not going to do those things, which is probably some of the times why I have hesitation. Cause I'm like, what if I can't be the perfect dad, like that kind of thing? But
nobody's perfect.
But the reality is nobody's perfect. There is no exact right time. And so you just do it, and you do the very best that you can.
Mm-hmm.
And you be honest with yourself. If you are doing the best you can, if you're giving everything that you have to it, then that's what you do. And end of the day, like, when I do come home from work and both kids are squealing in happiness, and like, it makes me feel like I'm doing okay, I guess. But it's just it's
a struggle, but it's
the waiting. But the point I guess I was trying to make is that the waiting, I waited. Now I'm 47. We have a 10-month-old. Like,
she's not even going to be in school and I'm going to be 50.
Mm-hmm.
And so where that hits me is I waited all this time. Like, am I going to see them graduate from high school, college? Am I going to walk Ava down the aisle? Like things like that then in hindsight, I'm like, why did I wait? Like on the real estate side, like we were in Charleston, we were in Charlotte and Charleston at potentially the greatest time in the history of the world to buy real estate. Like if we had bought one apartment complex back then, like it would be worth like probably 5 or 10 times worth what we would have bought it for then. I didn't know anything.
Right.
I didn't know about that then. But the reality is the point is, it's like people are waiting and worried about what's happening in the market right now. And, you know, as Warren Buffett says, you know, be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. And so to me, I'm like, this is it. This is potentially the opportunity we thought that was going to happen at the beginning of COVID, and it got bailed out by the stimulus money. Well, now the stimulus money has caused this tremendous amount of inflation that's scaring everyone. And so it was delayed by a couple of years, but I think this may be the opportunity that people were thought was going to come then. Anyway, regardless, I think, you know, sort of back to the point here is that it's hard to be the spouse of an entrepreneur, I would imagine, especially if you're not like, you know, not specifically wanting to be in that business.
Like I understand the mobile surgery stuff because that's my job.
Yeah. And she, you know, just for the record, like
with that.
she helps that run much better because the fact is you just can't do it all yourself.
The real estate stuff I knew less about. And I do think that I will be able to participate more fully or at all, really. Probably as the kids are a little bit older, it's hard, like having been home with them. And, you know, sometimes you're drowning some days with 2 little kids around. I say you, I meant me. With other
parents understand that.
Anybody who's home with kids, it's a lot and it's exhausting and it's frustrating. And the idea of taking on more things kind of made my head explode a little bit, the idea of it. So have I been as involved with the Lark Capital as much as I, in theory, would have been like I was the mobile surgery? No. But I think I couldn't take on more outside the home type business right now with the kids. I think
if we didn't have kids,
if we didn't have the kids, or if they're a little bit older, maybe they're in school, then I think, you know, I have perhaps a little more time on my hands to help you with tasks. But
well, I think, I mean, and again, it's like this is the whole point. Like we could have waited until the kids were gone. We were like in school full time. We could have waited until the pandemic was over. But like when the kids go to school, they're going to have stuff.
Right.
They're going to have sports,
and
music, friends, activities, like all of this stuff. Like it's not like they're going to go off to school and then we don't have to take care of them anymore. Like that's in like 20, 25 years. Yeah. And the thing is, like, if in 2020, which we literally sat around and talked about this, we thought the pandemic would be 2 months long.
Oh my God.
Which is laughable now, but we thought, whatever, it was March or whatever, April. We're like, it'll be over by the summer. Well, here we are 2 years into it and numbers are going back up in certain places. So it's not like it maybe now it's going to become endemic and it's just going to be a part of life, but like the flu is, but the point is, if we had waited these 2 years, we would have missed out on the opportunities that have already happened for us.
Correct.
And those opportunities have now led to, and this is something that I haven't talked about yet, but I'll be leaving my W-2 job in end of May. Yeah, a month and a week, something like that. End of May, June.
Memorial, basically.
Memorial weekend will be the end of me having a W-2 job. I won't work for anyone else, which is
Exciting and scary.
Yeah, but right. I was like, I'm not sure which one is the top of that list. Exciting, also terrifying. When you have, again, this is like, I have kids, I have a family, I have you and them to take care of. Like that's daunting to me. But if we didn't have these 2 years of, sort of proven success in both businesses, the real estate and mobile, I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't feel confident enough to rely on those sources of income to support our family.
Support my lavish lifestyle.
Yeah. Neither of us. Yeah. We're wearing the same shirt. Same shirt. Like it's this is we fortunately don't have lavish lifestyles, which I think helps a lot. But we will always spend money on what is important.
Correct.
And that is support of the family and experiences. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that's exciting upcoming, is we have basically not gone anywhere for 2 years. Like our kids are too young to be vaccinated. And again, we this isn't to be a discussion about what you believe in. It's just, we believe in the science and the keeping our kids safe. And so we've tried to do everything that we possibly could and make those decisions to have that in mind, with that in mind. And so, we're sort of excited to actually do some traveling in the coming months, which is also exciting and terrifying scary, at the same time. Like I guess what I wanted to do with this is get your perspective on all this. And I know that this is a podcast that people are going to listen to, so you're probably being nicer about it than some of your thoughts you've had along the way. I'm not. This is not a criticism. I just I think we've had a rough day or two along the way, and
for sure.
It's
been a challenging 2 years, like just in the world, but for us, marriage-wise, kids, with business, life was obviously much easier before we had kids and before the pandemic. You had so many other factors to consider.
Yeah. But I think it's an interesting point that you bring up, that, which is true. Life was so much easier. But then I look back at that time and I'm like, we didn't take advantage of these opportunities that we're taking advantage of now.
For sure.
And that is the whole, that's it right there. That's exactly why the back of these shirts say Know Your Why. That's why this is the name of this podcast, is because it wasn't until that little boy was born that I realized what really mattered for me. So what really mattered in it. And we joke, that it's, I always say it's the kids, but I think that they changed everything for both of us. I think, yes. Which maybe that happens to every parent, but it was a transformation for sure in what I wanted to accomplish and what I felt was possible to accomplish.
Priority shift. Well,
yeah. I would literally do anything for them.
I know. Yeah, me too.
It's just, and I know you would too. And it's that's what we talk about this a lot. And it's you don't, again, maybe it's every parent, I don't know, but I would I would die for them. I would kill for them. I would give them an arm. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Whatever it took to take care of them. So then when it comes down to working a little extra and getting up earlier and whatever, that's easy. It's not easy
for you.
It's not.
I get up early.
Right. I know getting up early is not your thing, but
my point is about kids.
My point is that you just, it makes, it's perspective. It puts everything else sure. It's the stuff that used to bother me and annoy me before. I'm whatever. the stuff like them having a cold and not being able to fix it for them, like that destroys me. That thing, listening to them cough at night, like I'm awake all night. They're not even awake. They're coughing in their sleep, but I'm awake listening to it and wishing I could fix it for them. So it's just, it just changes it for you. And so that it's been it's been the why behind all of this. So, well, let's go to the questions.
Oh, good.
The questions that I ask every guest. So everybody knows my why. It's not a secret.
You probably guess my
I've
why.
talked about it over and over again. Well, why don't you tell us? Because that is the first question. What is your why, Kaycee?
You and the kids. I mean, it's easy. You three. You're my people. The reason I get up in the morning, albeit too early, but I just
literally the reason you get up in the morning.
Yeah, literally,
because a little boy shows up at your bed.
Woken up by children talking or in our room. Yeah, I mean, you have given me the ability to, I don't know, think and feel about myself differently. I just feel like I've been able to more efficiently and effectively stand up on my own 2 feet and be my own person and just not take crap from people if I don't want to. Like, you've given me the confidence to not be a people pleaser like I used to be, but
I taught you how to Balara yell.
Yeah, you did. I don't know. You have never given me a reason to feel unloved or uncared for. And I know, like, you just have always supported me and been there. So it just makes it easy to go through life when I know I don't have to worry about that. Sappy alert.
Right. Feel free to edit that out, Mark.
But I don't know. So like I said, you and you've been supportive. I mean, obviously being a mom has been challenging for me as well. Like, just, we don't live near any family, and 2 young kids is hard. I had some postpartum depression and postpartum anxiety, and that's a whole nother podcast on itself there. But these kids, like, they are literally the best thing that ever happened to us. I mean, I know for me, and I know for him as well. So they're my why. You hear Logan say, "I love you," and you're just like, "Oh." It makes up for all the time he was being a jerk earlier in the day.
Right. They really can flip that switch, because you're like, they're a toddler and you hate them, and then they're like, "I love you, mommy. Can I have a hug?" And you're just like, yeah, it's worth it. It's all worth it.
It's fine. I'll forgive him. And the little crazy haired baby who's just a bull in a china shop with the best smile.
She's going to be the bruiser.
Yeah. So there were why.
Okay.
Next.
Second question. I don't know if you'll be able to surprise me, but tell us something about yourself that perhaps isn't common knowledge.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, and I don't know that there's anything that you don't know. One is lame. I thought about is I love puzzles. There's probably like my immediate family, and like, this, but something I learned maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10 years ago, going to the beach with some family, they would bring puzzles, and I started getting into it, and I get obsessive about them, like obsessive, and we'll do it. I mean, I can't do it anymore with the kids, but would just sit there for hours and obsess over them.
But you can, because Logan has
I know Logan has started it, so that's been nice.
Yeah, he so to brag on our son a little bit, he's like, it's sort of freakish how good he is at puzzles, and so we went and got him some bigger puzzle, like more pieces, whatever, like higher age groups and stuff like that, and he still can like blast through those too. Like, it's just kind of amazing. So I've never grandparents think that their grandchildren are amazing, like
no matter what,
like specifically grandparents have this extra level of they're amazing. My mom has been saying Logan's a genius basically since he was like born, which at what point, and I,
what point do you know that?
Right. I do tend to be I guess realistic about I don't know, like I think my kids are cute, but I also feel like there's probably biased. And so there's like, I try to just not say those things, but he's amazing at puzzles. I just like, I don't have it. It's like, I don't know what else to say. He's just like really, really amazing at puzzles. And I love watching him do it because he'll just like, also, if you don't watch, it's already together. Mm-hmm. Like he puts them together so quickly that you don't, if you're not looking at him and watching it happen, you think somehow some adult ran in and put this puzzle together, but I couldn't do it as fast as he could. So I don't even know but it's a really cool thing. And I think that's a very cool answer. I'll add something to this.
I had one other thing I thought about. It was probably more fun, but go ahead.
I was just going to say, sorry to all the other moms, greatest mom ever. Like that. You may not know this, but greatest mom ever. Good luck competing, other moms. There's a high bar set here. Yeah. What was your? The
other thing was that we got married over Skype.
That is true.
I thought that's kind of a neat little fact that I've thrown out before.
Yeah, things. Also,
that's a funny about this story.
That wasn't part of it. We were supposed to get. I mean, we did get married. We were supposed to get married. Really? We were supposed to get married on September 10th, and we were supposed to get married in Charleston. Sunday. We no longer lived in Charleston. We were supposed to get married there on September 10th, and Hurricane Irma, came through and shut everything down that week. No flights, nothing. Like you couldn't. We almost couldn't be together because I had gone to Boston to go to a Patriots game for my bachelor party. And then we were going to fly down and meet in Charleston. Luckily, I was still able to get to Charlotte where she was. So yeah, kind of a crazy story. And we eventually had a ceremony like a week later, but the Thursday after, but our friend we had already asked him to be our officiant for the wedding. So he Skype married us, right? I don't know how you would say that, but he said that we did Skype. The whole thing over Skype.
Yeah. Because I was not bridezilla, but what I really wanted was to get married on the day that we wanted to get married on. And it was Sunday, the 10th. And we weren't in Charleston, so technically it's probably not legal. But
don't tell all 300 of you that download this.
Don't tell anybody. So we were at least able to say the words and do the vows and all that stuff on the 10th, like we planned, and then we're able to have the ceremony on the 14th. So, but all in all, it turned out beautifully. We had a few less people than planned, but it was fine. It turned out beautifully.
Still great.
Happy to do it. So those are my things.
Okay.
Obviously you knew that, but
yeah, I knew that part, but I mean, I don't know if you want people to reach out to you, but that's the next. Okay.
Via him. Sure.
Yeah.
You can.
Any further questions? I mean, I suppose, if you have questions about the mom stuff she talked about, you can put me in touch. Connect you.
Yeah.
She does not want to put her.
I'm not
she's not a social media
giant
person. Okay. What piece of advice would you give to people? We'll change it a little bit from normal. What piece of advice would you give to people who are in a relationship with someone who is an entrepreneur in terms of their own success, tolerance, whatever word you want to use, but just the dealings with that we already talked about. You weren't necessarily like into this. So what would you say?
I guess maybe this is a lame thing to say, but communication. Like I think it might be something that maybe you know something about it, maybe you don't. Either way's fine. But asking the questions and telling them how you feel, asking for what you need. I think I'm maybe not always very good at saying what I need because I tend to just defer to you. I'm like, okay, you want to do this? Great, have at it. And so maybe don't let it fester. Don't let don't let resentment build up. Don't let frustration, things like that. If you have questions, have concerns, have anything, just say what you need to say. Don't be afraid of it. Ask what you need to ask. If you just need to get something off your chest, if you partly a lot of it, I just felt lonely or left out or whatever. Obviously I had 1,000 other things to do, but we weren't doing this together, which is how we normally did every other entity or every other project. It was together. This one was not really together. So we had to figure that out. We had to figure out how to navigate that. So I guess long story short is just don't be afraid to communicate what you need, ask for what you need. Just keep the line of communication open. Try and learn something just in an effort to be supportive. It might help you. Like when I can actually answer your questions with an educated answer, his mind is blown because I listen sometimes more than others. But I think just try to be supportive. It may not be something that you understand at the time, but if it's something that's realistic that you can take on, go for it. Figure it out together.
I think the point about communication is great, because I think the communication, trying to define roles, right? Like you're not necessarily working actively in Lark Capital, but I still consider Lark Capital a family business, and you're a part of the family business.
Yeah.
You're just the CEO of the house. And so
the Balara house.
the COO of the house, whatever you want to call it. But basically the point is talking about that stuff, communicating, because it's the fact is it's lonely on both sides.
For sure.
Like it's been lonely. I totally understand why it's lonely for you. It's lonely for me because for really the same reasons. Usually we're working on the house together, we're doing it together, and instead I'm trying to do this thing that I passionately believe in is good for us and our family, and you're not always involved. You're not involved. You maybe don't understand. You've got other stuff, that you're busy trying to fix. So it's like that, keeping that communication and like just telling each other how you feel, making sure, we haven't been good at it always either. Like we've recently instituted like definitive date nights so that we like actually, because like it's easy to not spend time together when you have the two kids, like just without them.
Also maybe managing your expectations.
Yes. Yeah. But I think, the communication, because I think what has happened, and I'm sure this happens to everyone, is you reach a point of you're tired, frustrated, and upset, and then it all just comes exploding out of you. And then the other person has the same level of tired frustration and upsetness. And it's like, up. And then you got to figure that out, where if you just did it first, it would be doing it in advance would be ideal. Yeah. It's a work in progress. It's not, It's never going to be perfect, but the communication piece of it is huge. So I do try to tell you everything that I'm doing, even though you may not want to hear or understand, because I think it is important. Helpful that we talk about it. So well, anything else you want us to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Happy 100th.
Thank you.
You made it.
Maybe she'll listen to this one.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for listening, everyone. Again, if you get the opportunity, please go like, subscribe, comment to the podcast. We hope to get it out to more and more people, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
I'd like to show you why knowing your why is the start of your journey. Without a strong why, it can be so difficult to reach your maximum potential. My name is Dr. Jason Balara, and every week I meet with real estate investors and mindset specialists that are taking action in order to build a life according to their own terms. We will break down what drives successful people and allows them to achieve at such a high level. If you are a professional wanting to break through, or simply someone that wants to hear an inspiring story, the Know Your Why podcast is made for you.